What is happening, everybody? I'm Larry Roberts.
And I'm Sara, and this is Brandon, your comprehensive guide to creative branding.
And on this episode of the podcast, we are going to be looking at the rise and the fall of someone known as the Liver King.
And if you're like me, you have no idea who he is.
Well, you know, it's weird that you don't know. I honestly thought that you knew who this cat was. If you go over to Instagram, he has about 2.5 million followers.
That's insane.
On IG. So he's definitely making a splash to his demographic. Now, at the same time, I can kind of dig where you probably wouldn't know who he is.
Not his target audience.
Definitely not his target audience. Yeah. Liver King is his real name is Brian Johnson, and he built his brand.
Calling him out with his government name.
We're going all the way back to the birth certificate here, folks.
And his social security number is.
But he built an entire brand on being lies. Yeah, definitely. But he also built it on being quote unquote primal. You know, he wanted to get away from modern day living and the comforts that we experience today and go back to our primal ancestral roots. And he did this by mostly eating raw liver.
Even the cavemen had fire. They could cook.
and that's true, you know, but at the same time, he takes it back so far. I mean, he ate raw liver. He ate raw bull testicles. He ate all sorts of raw meats. And if you look at the cat, he's about 5 foot nothing. But he's like bam, 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 bam. I mean, there's muscles on top of muscles, on top of abs, on top of abs. So much so that people accused him of having ab implants because they're so they protrude so far and they're so defined. I mean, he's like an anatomy chart that's on steroids. And that's kind of ironic because that's kind of ended up what it was.
It was actually steroids. It makes me like, you know, Hannah Gadsby, the comedian?
Yes.
She talks about the like paleo diet and gets really angry about it because it's like, do you know what the paleo people ate like back then?
I don't know.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We weren't there. Why does he assume back in the day they ate raw liver? Like, where does he get that information?
Yeah, I don't know. He came up with this entire brand that surrounded these 9 ancestral tenets. And I don't know all the tenets. I didn't buy into his hype. I definitely was intrigued by his presence because if you see him, I mean, he's a very distinct looking individual. He doesn't bathe. He doesn't shave. He's got this beard that goes on for days and his hair that's less than clean looking. I mean, when you see him in a picture, if you look at his Instagram, you can smell his account.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, so how did no bathing muscle dude get 2.5 million followers?
Well, it's because he built a brand around it, is really what it amounts to. He hired a company, and this company is well known, and I'm looking for them right now. They're called 1DS is the name of the company that he hired. And we didn't know this until recently because what ended up happening is that, you know, we talked about it was somewhat built on steroids. Well, it turns out that it was 100% built on steroids, and his brand was 100% completely built on lies. And what ended up happening was some of his emails were leaked. And although he had swore up and down, interview after interview, podcast after podcast, that he was clean, that he was natural, and it was these 9 ancestral tenets, and it was this raw liver and raw bull testicles and raw meat and all this other stuff that made him who he is, it was really all steroids. When it came out, he was spending about $11,000 a month to maintain this physique. And that's where it gets a little scary. And that's why we're talking about it here on Branded, is because he literally built his brand on lies. None of it was real. It was all a facade. And it's still, even today, he definitely took a hit when it came to his social media. and he was exposed, and he had to come out and do the traditional, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you." He had to come back and try to build things back up, and he's still got a following. But the bottom line is that the following was built on a facade.
We need to stop making stupid people famous.
Well, and I love that meme as well, because we've definitely arrived at that point in time where we make a lot of quote unquote stupid people famous.
Yeah.
Because why? Because they build an insane brand. All these people, whether it's and I'm not even the slightest, honestly, Jake Paul fan, but he's built an amazing brand. Definitely not a Liver King fan, but he built an amazing brand. Not really a Joe Rogan fan, but he built an amazing brand. And that's where these quote unquote stupid people that we're elevating are able to set themselves apart because they build an insane brand.
See, the thing that I don't get with this is, I mean, you and I, we know personal branding, live and breathe, eat, sleep personal branding.
Sure.
And personal brands have to be built on authenticity. So when it came out that all of it was complete BS, how did he not lose his brand? How is he still getting all of these followers, all of this attention?
Yeah, it's interesting because honestly, it's super simple. He just kept showing up. He accepted.
Can he stop?
Can he stop?
Yeah.
Why would he stop? Why would he stop?
The dude's personal preference.
Dude, well, I can appreciate that, but he's still making money hand over fist. The brand is still producing because the company that he hired and his dedication to that brand built something so deep, so strong that it doesn't matter. It's almost like he's a little bulletproof because his brand is so strong. Even today, before we hit record, I went to Instagram, I looked, still sitting at 2.5 million followers, even after being 100% completely exposed.
It's insane. So now the company that built him, they were working on the success model from the book is what, Made to Stick?
Yeah. There's a book called Made to Stick, and there is a success. It's an acronym, success model, and I think it's missing an S actually.
Yes, it's SUCCES model.
Yes, instead of the two S's there, we only have one. So that should tell you right in and of itself that we're already shortcutting things, folks. we can't even come up with a real word. But
just come up with another S. Just come up with one.
Yeah, just one more. Just please. But this just goes to show.
Oh, no, you know what?
What?
The final S is secrets. Because it was all secrets and lies.
All secrets and lies.
Or snake oil.
Oh, I like that. Snake oil. Gotta throw just a drop or two of snake oil in with a little eye of newt and a
toe of frog.
Yeah, and
double, toil and trouble.
Yeah, you gotta have a little bit of sauce in there.
Something wicked this way comes.
But so that formula, that
the actual success model. So it's the 6 principles of what makes an idea sticky or what makes a brand sticky. And it's simple, unexpected, concrete, credible. That's ironic.
Yeah.
Emotional and built on stories.
Yeah.
And this does make sense to me because, I mean, in my book, I talk about what makes a story compelling, and a lot of this lines up. It has to be unexpected. It has to be emotional. It has to be simple, not have too many details. So this does make sense. This tracks, but something went wrong.
Well, and go through the acronym again.
Simple. So it has to be simplicity.
It was super simple. If we look at the Liver King, we go, how simple was it? It was so simple that he took it back to a caveman approach. That's literally what he was doing. Yes. He went back to his ancestral tenets, back to the caveman days, made it super, super simple. Because if you look at him, he's definitely a physical specimen. He's definitely we'll call him a health influencer, even though he's far from healthy. So you look at him, and again, he's jacked, just bam, 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 muscles on top of muscles. So took it back super simple, said that if you eat raw liver and you eat raw bull testicles, you'll look like me.
I think the simple part is also like twofold too, because not only like was his lifestyle supposedly simple, but his message was simple. Like he was only promoting this whole idea of like he is a fitness health person. He didn't have multiple levels. Like looking at the made to stick success model, it was the Heath brothers came up with it. And one of the examples they give is like Southwest is the low fare airline. So they focus on the idea of like low fare and transparency. So that's simple. They're not layering in all of these other things.
Sure.
So because he just focused on the physical piece of it, that kept it simple. And I mean, the simple isn't anything new. It's the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid.
We've all heard it more than once.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So keep it straightforward, keep it simple. And he succeeded in that 100%. What was the, what's the U?
Unexpected. So to get attention, violate a schema. So schemas are like this mind maps we have in our brain, like what we expect to happen, what has been put into our brain that this is going to happen. So when you go against that, it has that shock factor. So I guess
that's what he did more than anything. I mean, if you go to his Instagram right now and you look at Liver King, you'll find a picture right there on the front page of him holding a massive raw beef liver.
I don't want to see that.
In the next picture, he's eating that beef liver. Super unexpected. I mean, I as a kid growing up, I cried on liver and onion nights. I mean, literally, because I hate liver that much that as soon as I smelt that liver and onions grilling in the kitchen.
I was never made to eat that.
Oh my God, I was. And it was,
I don't think anyone in my house would have eaten that.
It was the worst. So I can't even fathom eating raw liver, but that's where it's unexpected. He's sitting there holding a liver in his hand and he's eating it raw, straight from the critter. So very unexpected. Across the board.
Part of the unexpected piece, it's basically clickbaiting.
Yeah.
You're just setting it up to sound unexpected, even if the whatever you're saying isn't that unexpected. You set it up so that it sounds like it. The way that you just word it, you make it sound like this is going to be a plot twist, and that's why things like clickbait are so successful. We're finally starting to realize this is clickbait. We don't need to actually click it, but for the longest time, that's what it was. And with him, it's kind of the same thing. His entire brand was clickbait. It's I only eat raw liver. Like, okay, how does that work? Like, how does this all come together? How do you look like that?
Yeah, 100%. And I love that there's a meme out there of Tom Hardy from Mad Max where he looks up and he points up, and you're starting to see like on social media where people will take that meme and he's saying that's bait. And that meme is being used to point back to clickbait titles or clickbait posts and go, hey, this is just clickbait. This is nonsense. So, but yeah, he built an entire brand on unexpected clickbait.
So then the next C is concrete. So the way that they say it, I was thinking that concrete had to just be, this is set in reality. It's not figurative. It's just, this is a thing. But what they actually say is that to be concrete, use sensory language. So you're painting a mental picture. So instead of just being concrete as in it's just like set in a fact, it's you have to be able to picture it so that it feels real and feels tangible.
Well, and that's where he took it to the next level. Because if you look at Liver King, he looks very ancestral. He looks like a wild man with, again, the long hair that's knotted up and the long bushy beard. And again, dude is just chiseled straight out of granite. And again, so much so that people accused him of having ab implants because his abs are so big and they protrude so far that they look fake. And so far, I haven't heard whether or not they are fake. They potentially
wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. But
everything else is fake.
But when you look at him, you're like, wow, he is concrete proof that if you eat this raw liver and you eat this bowl of bull testicles and you live these 9 ancestral tenets and you follow his brand, you're going to look like that too. So he looked very, very concrete. He backed up.
He looked like he was made out of concrete.
100%.
There's fit and there's muscle and stuff, but then there's just you look like a carnival freak show.
Yes.
He looks like a carnival freak show.
He nailed option B there. So
Ugh,
what's that other C?
Credible. This is the ironic one. Ideas can get credibility from outside or from within using human scale statistics or vivid detail. So he used the vivid detail for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you could see him. The dude doesn't own a shirt. Okay. He doesn't just show up on like podcasts or TV shows or events. He does not own a shirt. I don't know that I've ever seen him in a shirt, except prior to if you dig a little deep, you can find pictures of him before he was the Liver King and he owned a shirt.
And he was the Liver Prince.
Yeah, there you go. But today I don't think dude even owns a shirt. And I'm gonna be honest, if I looked like he looked, probably wouldn't own a shirt either. There's just no need.
I wouldn't want to look like he looks.
I wouldn't either. He's a little extreme even for Olaire. But I can appreciate the fact.
Like I may still look like my before photo, but I don't want to get that far after.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that, he went on all these shows. He went on TV shows. He went on podcasts, and he swore up and down that he achieved this look by following his 9 ancestral tenets and by living out his brand. And well, that just wasn't quite the case, but he went out of his way to build up as much credibility as possible and to get everybody, all of his primals, which is what he called his community. Anybody in his community is called a primal. So he got all of his primals on board by constantly reinforcing the fact that he was credible, by constantly reinforcing the fact that he was legitimate, that he was clean, and that he was doing this by eating the diet that he proposed and exercising the way that he exercised.
Nonsense. So then the E is emotional. So you have to play to the emotions, and people care about people, not numbers. So it's not about the statistics. It's not about the actual science behind if you eat liver, you're going to look like a Lego. It is just.
Yeah, it looks like a Lego. I can see that.
Yeah. So with this one, he kind of preyed on just society's beauty standards and how everyone is self-conscious now and everyone wants to look like something else. Nobody is happy about what they look like. So he became the extreme. But he even made himself an extreme that is not attainable.
No, not legitimately. I mean, who has $11,000 a month to spend on growth hormone and DECA and test and trend and all these other amazing steroids that'll make you look like this? It's the same.
Sponsor us, amazing steroids.
But he definitely played on everybody's emotions. I mean, even if we take it back, man, I remember as a kid, even in the early 80s, reading a comic book. And in the back of the comic book, there were ads where this big, strong dude was kicking sand in the face of a little scrawny dude. And if you ordered this workout plan, then you could be big and strong too. And, being a little skinny kid when I was growing up, I was like, oh my, that relates to me. That moved me emotionally because I didn't want that big muscular dude kicking sand in my face if I happened to go to the beach. And it's the same thing, man. It's playing on the emotions of the people that he labeled as primals. It's playing on the emotions of the people that want to look like him, that want to be like him, that want to be muscular, that want to be strong, that want all that attention, that want the 2.5 million followers on Instagram. That's exactly what he and the company that he worked with did.
Yeah.
Played on the emotions of the people that followed him.
And this isn't even close to like a new concept. This is how we got an entire generation hooked on cigarettes. This is how they sell alcohol. It's the whole concept of sex sells.
Yeah.
And just using someone pretty. It's the whole concept of all Instagram influencers.
Yeah.
It's this person is so pretty. This person is so cool. I'm going to buy their sunglasses because then I'll be cool.
Right. I mean, that's why you're on this podcast, is because you're so beautiful and I can't bring listeners. So I got to have somebody like you to be on the podcast with me so the people will listen to the show.
Oh, I love ego boosts in the morning.
Yeah, right. For sure.
But no, really, it's goes back to like the Marlboro Man. And he was used. Why are you laughing?
Well, we both know why I'm laughing. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, because he's my mom's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's always he's always the example that I think of because all he was pretty. And he got an entire generation hooked on tobacco.
Yeah.
And yes, he dated my mom in the 70s. And then yes, he later died of respiratory failure.
Was it COPD or something like that? Was it COPD or something like that?
Something like that. He died I think he died in like 2014. I told my mom that. She didn't even know. It's kind of funny.
He left a lasting impression.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a minute ago, or two ago.
But that really it's basically the number one principle of how people sell things in modern advertising. It all just goes down to sex sells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked for him.
He's a sexy beast.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
No, a beast, yes.
Yeah, you nailed it with beast for sure. All right. So
more beast than beauty.
What's that one singular S?
Final is stories, and this one I stand behind. You have to tell stories.
Yeah.
And the way that they say it is stories drive attention through simulation, which is what to do, and inspiration, which is the motivation to do it. And I agree with this, but I think it goes past that. It's not just telling you what to do and how, but it's the connection that it drives. Because
relate, right?
Yes, you need to be able to relate to it, and stories are what form connections between people. Our brains are wired to connect to stories.
Well, and that's where he was so successful, was that he told stories that allowed people to relate back to him. Because if you think about it, it's extremely difficult to relate to somebody that looks like he looks, because he looks superhuman. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to relate to someone that eats raw organs. It's not something that I could even fathom doing. But at the same time, I was always intrigued by him because of the fact that he was building such an insane brand on these principles. And it really blew me away. But he had great stories to go along with it. He tied his community back to being primals. He tied his entire approach back to, through stories, back to our ancestors, back to the cavemen, back to how they lived life and got away from technology and embraced nature and embraced meat and rawness and just being primal again. So he had all these stories to tie all of that together that brought people to him and obviously captured their attention and obviously sold them on his brand.
See, that's really interesting because you actually answered a question I was about to ask.
Okay.
Which, when we tell stories, the idea is to bring out these shared experiences, because shared experiences are how we connect. If we know that this person has been through something we've been through, they can understand us, we feel that connection. But there's really nothing about him that is shared experiences. I've never eaten raw liver. I don't look like you can play the xylophone on my abs. Like, there's nothing that relates. So what he had to do was find a common thread. And because he was so ridiculous, his common thread had to go back thousands of years, because one of the basic things that everyone has in common is that we did come from like the cavemen and like the Neanderthals and all of that. Like, that is our common thread.
Neanderthals?
Neanderthals.
Neanderthals?
Yes, that's how you pronounce it. No, the H is silent. It's Neanderthals.
Oh.
I took a archaeology paleontology class, I promise. It's true. I knew you were going to comment on it though.
Yeah, I have to.
Yes, but that was how far back he had to go to find that common factor, because everything else in the present for him was BS.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, man, he's an interesting cat for sure, and it's been interesting since he's been exposed, how he still tried to tie these stories in and bring it all together to recover from his exposure, and still maintain that brand. And I think it's a testament to show that if you've got a strong brand, well, look, the lesson here isn't BS people and build a brand on BS. The lesson here is be honest and build your brand based on the success principle, but with truth involved. But at the same time, I think it's an excellent demonstration of, even if You take his route and build your house on the sand of lies that with a strong story and a strong brand, you still have a bit of an opportunity to recover. I mean, he's struggling. He doesn't have quite the following that he had, but
Yeah,
I mean,
only 2.5 million.
only 2.5 million on Instagram right now. That's only Instagram. I didn't do the homework to find out where he's at on every platform.
Oh,
But
Lord.
still doing 2.5 million over there. It's insane.
I'll never understand. But I mean, even like when talking about the different things that go into personal branding, one of them is the know, like, trust factor.
Yeah.
And you need to get people, let them get to know you and get them to like you and then get them to trust you. So they felt like they know him, they felt like they liked him, and then they felt like they trusted him. He lost that trust. And I guess the like was so strong that he was able to get past the loss of the trust.
Yep. No, 100%. When you look at him, I mean, there is such a huge percentage of males out there that would kill to look like this cat. They think that if they look like this cat, it's going to solve all their problems. They're going to date all the hottest chicks. They're going to make a ton of money. They're going to drive the finest cars. He personifies in the way he looks what so many young men look at and think is going to provide them with everything that they want in their lives. And because of that, he's able to overcome a lot of that trust or lack of trust factor.
That's insane. Guys, for the record, Shrek made a whole lot more money than Magic Mike.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing.
It is true.
Yeah.
You don't have to look like that. Be decent. Save us from the dragon, whatever it takes, but you don't need that.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Have a cute little donkey sidekick.
Because I'd still pick Magic Mike over Shrek if I had a genie that goes, all right, Larry, one wish. You can be Shrek or you can be Magic Mike. I'm going Magic Mike. I'll tell you that right now. But anyways, hopefully you have this episode.
For the record, guys, this was what not to do. This is what not to do. This is not we're not telling you to be kidney king or next week. Don't.
Yeah. Don't go eating raw liver, raw full testicles or kidneys or anything. Just build a brand on authenticity. Okay? Tell stories, work the success formula, and you'll find success in your brand as well. So with that, if you found some value in this episode, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button so we can bring you more amazing stories of Liver King and beyond on future episodes. So I'm Larry Roberts.
I'm Sara Losi. We'll talk to you next week.